Our house is on Inks Lake. It's one of the Highland Lakes in the Texas Hill Country. And it's a special spot because you're nearby Austin. It's very quiet and secluded, and living on the water, it's beautiful. It's a special place.
I feel like windows are a statement piece for the house. So when I worked with a custom home builder and the plans were brought to us, it immediately was one that drew my heart in with all the big windows. And then when we met, we were sold.
When we traveled to South France, it always feels so relaxed and breezy, and we both always wanted to do that South France style, but it's a little bit intimidating because there are so many details that are required to pull that look off. We didn't know if we had the resources to really pull it off. And I simply brought Morgan a book with images on South French architecture. And I just gave her that one book, and she totally got it. She was off and running.
We used that as our guide, and then that was what we kind of wanted to recreate here so that it felt authentic. And the windows were a huge part of making this home feel authentic to France.
Yeah, well, you see the house has a lot of windows in it, and sadly, the windows that are available to us here in the U.S., they're very good looking windows, but they didn't fit the look we were after. And I had this silly little thing. I really wanted to be able to open the windows into the house and allow the outside into the house, right? I couldn't find those windows. A simple request, you know? And when you go to South France or anywhere in Europe, practically, the windows all open inside. And that is a magical moment, you know? It makes you feel like you're somewhere else because everything operates a little bit differently. All those details matter when you're, designing and building a house. When did we start this?
We started in August of 2023, and we finished in November of 2025. So it was a long process. The windows were one of the very first things that we dove into.
I think for my husband, he was so impressed with the hardware. He loved all the special touches. And, again, it's all in the details when you're pulling off a certain look. And my concern was that I couldn't pull it off. But the windows were like the first step into it. I had confidence. Once we had the windows identified, I knew that we were going to pull off this look. The pretty hardware and how they operate, and there's a certain quality to them that you probably appreciate because you're in that world of construction.
I think it was the craftsmanship of them. You could tell that they were different from the very beginning. Mark really worked through all the details with us and how they were made. And the craftsmanship just felt like it was very authentic. And compared to the other window frames that we see a lot here in the United States, they just felt like they were like a piece of art.
It's one of those details, it's like they got it right then, right? They got that design right. And how they function, that hatch, it's very unique. And it is a moment that you appreciate when you open that window. And to see it in a room, it holds its own. When you go into, I have one in my wet room, the room is very simple because it's just that latch. It's just one of those details that give there's a lot of layers in design, and it's that detail that just adds that layer of authenticity to pull off that look that we were after. It's exciting having it.
For me, it was just kind of a moment of pause. When you walk in, it kind of just takes your breath away. If you don't see this type of window often, so when you do, it draws your attention, but then it just makes you pause if you can see the beauty that they bring to the inside of the home, but also the beauty that they're reflecting on the outside. And I don't think there's been a moment that I've walked through this house 100 times or more that I still don't walk through every time and take a deep breath and oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful.
And it was a little nerving because they're so far away, and we didn't know that much about the company. But Gary and I talked to Mark over at Maison Janneau, and he gave us confidence through. He said, "We've been making windows for 75 years, I think he said at the time. He said, you can rest assured, and he warranted them behind. There was a word behind it. So, they have a good track record, and then they offer a warranty, and sounds like they're going to be around for a while. And they make them far away, but we live in this global world where everything is so available, and you could pick up a phone call or a video chat, and so France isn't that far away anymore. And we didn't wait for the windows. They coordinated it perfectly.
Really well with us. They had really great communication about time frames. If I remember correctly, I think we placed the window order around October, November time, and then we started installing them in the spring, I believe, of 24. I think it was 24. So it was actually a fairly quick process. And they communicated with us the entire time of what was happening, sent us pictures along the way of them being made and painted, so we could kind of get to see the process, even though we were here. And then when they got delivered, we got to be on site with them delivering them and installing everything. So it was a really cool process to see from the very beginning of paper drawings and us going over measurements to it all coming together and being installed. And then we covered them up to protect them for so long, and so then it was like a new unveiling when we took the coverings off after the stone and everything was completed, to really get to take in the beauty of them.
And I don't know if you're aware, but Maison Janneau also did our front door and our wine door. Just do it, it's such a pleasant experience, and you end up with a beautiful quality of window that sets the tone for your home. So don't hesitate.
We traveled to south of France for inspiration, and there's just, there's nothing available in the U.S. that we discovered until we discovered them, and it just, helped bring the project to life.